Hello, this is Mr. Chabry, and today we have another narrated Pokemon battle. So this is going to be a PU match against Gamer MZ, and I've been wanting to do some more PU matches lately. They're a lot of fun, and I really want to get this Heatmor set to work. Heatmor is a Pokemon, if you don't know, it's a pure fire type, and it's honestly not that good, but I've got this set that I saw. I really want to make it work. Hopefully we can make it work. So I'm going to lead off with Spark Kitty, as my opponent leads off with Meowstic. And most Meowstics are best known for their Prankster ability, where they go ahead and set stuff up. I'm going to Night Slash. Maybe I can break through the Reflect with a crit, maybe, but of course that Reflect is going to lower that damage a lot. And this Meowstic actually is going to go for Sunny Day, and that's kind of scary because I did see on my opponent's team the Shiftry, and Shiftry does carry Chlorophyll, so that Shiftry is going to be a big threat if I'm not careful. So I'm going to have to switch out here. I'm going to actually go into Quillfish, honestly, so I can go for a taunt maybe, as my opponent will actually make a switch himself into that scary Shiftry. So there it is, the Shiftry that I've been scared of this whole time. Now my opponent's going to go for a Swords Dance. Of course, my opponent will be faster in the sun. There's nothing I can really do about that, but I can taunt this thing to prevent it from, setting up a huge amount and sweeping me so early on in the game. So now my opponent's going to go for a knockoff, and that knockoff ends up taking out our Quillfish. I was actually hoping maybe Quillfish could take one, because I do have Haze on Quillfish, and that would help out a lot. That would make it where this thing is not so much of a threat. But unfortunately, we will go down to that. I'm going to go back into Spark Kitty to get an Intimidate. I'm trying my hardest to, make this thing not so much of a threat. So here, I'm going to try to go for a Fire Fang, but we're going to go down to the knockoff. So unfortunately, the Choice Scarf, of course, wouldn't have helped us because Shiftry has a huge boost from that sun, but luckily the sun is now gone. And now I'm going to go into Heatmor. I'm hoping maybe my opponent will actually switch out. I'm scared of a fire type move, but actually my opponent stays in and just goes for a knockoff. And I was going to try to set up with this Heatmor, go for a stockpile. This thing does have Z stockpile, but unfortunately, even without the sun, Heatmor is not going to outspeed Shiftry. And right now we have only 3 Pokemon left, and my opponent still has all 6. So things look very bad for us. Now I need to go more on the offensive. I was hoping to actually set up with Heatmor and maybe do some stuff with Heatmor, but without Heatmor, I'm going to have to go more on the offensive. So I'm going to go Primate and just U-turn. If my opponent stays in, that will be enough to take out Shiftry. If not, I can bring in something to, threaten whatever my opponent brings in. And I'm just going to go into Haunter now. And I'm hoping Haunter could, maybe turn some of this game around. So I'm just going to go ahead, Shadow Ball this Trevenant here, and that will be enough to finish it off. So Haunter's looking very good. And my opponent's actually going to go into Meowstic. So Meowstic, what I'm most afraid of is this thing setting up another Sunny Day so Shiftry can come in and sweep the rest of my team, because that's actually a pretty likely thing that would happen. But I'm just going to Shadow Ball, and luckily that's going to be enough to finish off Meowstic. So the light screen doesn't really bother me that bad, mainly because my other 2 Pokemon I still have are actually physical attackers. So now Luxray is going to come in, and I know that I'm probably not going to be able to take this thing out with one hit, especially with the light screen up. So what I'm going to do is actually go for a Destiny Bond. I need to keep the momentum that I've already got here. So with that, we're going to take out this Luxray, and honestly, Luxray is a pretty big threat to the rest of my team too. It's got Intimidate, so that's going to make Primate have a harder time. Actually, no, Primate has Defiance, so Primate would be able to, capitalize on that, but I don't want to worry too much about Luxray being around, so we're going to let Luxray go down here because my opponent still has Jinx, and Jinx could probably be a problem for me if I'm not too careful. So now my opponent switches the Jinx out because Dusknoir has an easy time, attacking Jinx. So we're just going to Shadow Sneak here, and my opponent brings in Primate, which honestly I don't really know what Primate can really do to Dusknoir. So I'm just going to stay in and Toxic this thing and start, trying to stall it out. My opponent shows me that he has Ice Punch, and Ice Punch really seems to be the only thing that this Primate is going to try to do against my Dusknoir. So honestly, if I can stay in here, Dusknoir should be able to finish off the Primate, but that still leaves the Jinx and of course the Shiftry. And honestly, Dusknoir does not want to face down the Shiftry at all. Shiftry is such a big threat to me. So I'm just going to stay in and try to whittle this thing down as much as I can. And honestly, if I do get some sort of chip damage on Jinx, I'm hoping that my Primate will be able to come in later on and finish it off with a close combat. I know Jinx does not have the best defense, so maybe Primate would be able to do it on its own. So now my opponent's going to go into that Shiftry, and of course, I do not want to stay in here. I don't think a Shadow Sneak will be enough at all because my Dusknoir is more of a bulky mon. So I'm going to go Primate expecting a Dark-type move, maybe even a Sucker Punch. My opponent actually goes for a knockoff, and that is kind of annoying because we lose our Scarf, but Primate is still faster than Shiftry, so I'm just going to hit close combat here, and that will be enough to finish off the Shiftry. So now with that out of the way, that just leaves the Jinx. So honestly, we have made a big comeback. We went from having only 3 Pokemon against 6 to now my opponent has 1 Pokemon left and I still have 2. But what I'm going to do is actually stay in and just close combat. I need to get some sort of chip damage on this thing. So maybe Shadow Sneak could do the trick later on. And it turns out being more important than I thought it would be because my opponent had the Focus Sash on the Jinx. So now we're able to get rid of that Focus Sash, and that's going to mean that once we bring in Dusknoir, all we have to do is Shadow Sneak, and we have the game. So, good game there, Gamer MZ. That was actually very close. Honestly, I thought it was over after Heatmore went down, and I looked at my team, I was like, I don't really have much in terms of something good against a lot of these Pokemon. But we were able to turn it around, especially with Haunter's help. Haunter was the MVP in this battle, I would say. It was able to come in and take out a lot of my opponent's Pokemon and turn the entire game in our favor. So, if you like this, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you in the next Pokemon video.